Matt, appreciate you joining me from the floor at PDAC in Toronto. Now, no doubt the general vibe around lithium has been pretty positive of late. So from your conversations there, how are investors and industry players viewing the outlook for the sector?
Yeah, hi Alex, thanks for having me. It's a fantastic vibe here at PDAC. In terms of lithium, well, I'd say that generally the sentiment for just about every commodity is off a little bit just due to recent events in the Middle East. But broadly, I would say investors are very keen on lithium, and this is in alignment with what we see investment banks talking about supply deficits later in 2026. So there's a lot of positive sentiment for the metal.
Now, turning to Red Mountain, what sort of feedback have you been getting in Toronto following the maiden 500 million tonne inferred resource and high-grade North Zone? Are people starting to view this as a potentially globally significant sedimentary lithium project?
Yeah, Alex, I think they are, viewing this project as significant on a global scale, certainly at the North American scale. And the 500 million tonne resource is substantial, but really what I'm getting a reaction from when it comes to investors is the high-grade northern zone, and the reason for that is because at a higher cutoff, it's just under 2,200 parts per million lithium on average, which puts it in, if that was a resource on its own, that would be in the top 3 or 4 resources in the US. And you combine that with the fact that we've got outcropping mineralization, so 80 meters true thickness, right next to the highway, water rights secured, and power to the east. I mean, it's extremely well set up from an infrastructure point of view. So this recognition is coming through loud and clear here at PDAC.
Now, Matt, you've just released a revised JORC exploration target of between 2.02 and 2.69 billion tonnes at 1,000 to 1,300 ppm lithium, which materially expands the scale narrative. So how should investors think about the pathway from that conceptual upside into resource growth and category upgrades through the 2026 drilling campaign?
Well, the exploration target we put out certainly quantifies the upside of the project, and it's huge. It's many multiples of the size of the MRE that we recently released. So it shows a very clear pathway to growth in terms of resources, but most importantly, it's about growth of high-grade tonnes. That's what this is all about. So the rationale for going and drilling more exploration holes is to try and bring more high-grade tonnes into the resource pipeline. As your listeners would know, when it comes to mining studies, higher-grade tonnes up the front end generally means greater revenue, and then that reduces payback period of upfront capex, and it goes right to NPV. So that's what it's all about. While we might have critical mass already, we can improve upon that by displacing any lower-grade tonnes with higher-grade tonnes from exploration drilling. So that's really the key.
And just finally, beyond the exploration target, there's a steady stream of near-term catalysts highlighted by lithium carbonate test work results, infill and extensional drilling, and ultimately a scoping study. So which of these do you see as the key value inflection points over the next 6 to 12 months?
That's right, Alex. The next cab off the rank will be the lithium carbonate test work, and we're running a bit behind on that, just simply from these winter storms I've experienced in the US have put the Colorado-based lab behind, not just on us, on all of their jobs. But that will provide proof of concept that we can produce lithium carbonate, and it will give us some indication as to the purity. Now, there's almost certainly going to be more work required to optimize that process. Other news will be on the way as well. Of course, we need to finalize our drill plans. They'll be aimed at upgrading the mineral resource estimate in part to measured and indicated. What that means is then we can do a scoping study on those tonnes and produce some financials and give an indication of viability for the project. And as we touched on exploration before, we'll also be doing some exploration drilling, which will test some of that upside and see what high-grade tonnes we can bring into the pipeline. So there's plenty of news coming, and of course the assays from all that drilling to fill the gap. So yeah, keep an eye on the stock.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate your insights as always. Enjoy the conference, and thanks for joining me.